this house across from the Westport Elementary School, 94-year-old Edna Lawrence lived peacefully and died violently. Her body was found yesterday on the living room floor in a pool of blood. She'd been beaten in the face and her ribs were broken. Her nephew, 20-year-old Andre Matthews, has been charged with the murder. Matthews, who was denied bail today by Judge Alan Resnick, was serving an 8-year sentence for burglary when he escaped from the Greenmount Pre-Release Center June 26th. He was traced to the Murphy Homes Project yesterday and arrested. Matthews was reportedly seen at Edna Lawrence's home yesterday. The broken window through which the murderer entered the house has blood on it, indicating the killer cut his hand. Matthews's hand had a cut on it when he was arrested. Today in Westport, neighbors, especially children, still stared at the house in disbelief and sorrow.
Oh, she was real sweet. When this went time for the school to come out, she'd be there and she'd watch the children coming across the street, tell them to get out the street, make sure they go home. If they fight, she'd have a little stick and tell them break it up and go home.
Every time when we fight, she would break it up and tell us to stop it.
She would say hi to us and she would ask us will we be late or early for school or something like that.
And she played with us.
You know, all I knew of Miss Edna, you know, most called her grandma because she was very nice.
Youngsters told us how Edna Lawrence would pick up trash every day. Others told us how she helped everyone and how they, in turn, could never say no to her.
Couldn't say no. Couldn't say no. I did a couple times, but that was my heart.
Andre Matthews was also known in the neighborhood as a basically nice guy, but with problems.
Only thing I got to say for him that I think he's sick, because I don't know why he would do something like that.
But many relatives of the family insist that Andre Matthews could not have done that to his aunt, that it must have been someone else. I'm Jack Bowden, News Scene 2, Westport.
The Booker T. Washington building has stood here since 1895, but for the past year and a half it stood empty, waiting to be renovated. In the meantime, Booker T's students have been bused across town to the old Poly building. While it does provide an academic roof over their heads, the principal says there are problems.
We only have the one gymnasium and no way of dividing it, so the boys and girls are together out of necessity. We have no outdoor facility.
When Booker T's students moved to the adult education facility, they were supposed to be here for 2 years. But renovations haven't even started on their old school. The problem is money. Renovations are estimated at $6.5 million, but there's only $4.7 in the kitty. But the parents have had it. Tonight they plan to put pressure on the school board.
I'm also going to let those school board members know that our children are passing adults. Our children are coming into a neighborhood which has problems. We have problems in our neighborhood, but we as parents will be closer, and we want to know why we was not given first priority.
The delays in renovating this building are having a ripple effect. Douglas Senior High School is also scheduled for renovation, and the students are supposed to move into the Calvert Street facility while the renovation is going on. But they can't do that as long as the students from Booker T. Washington are there. I'm Frances Harden on the scene in Baltimore.
Video games. They're fast, fun, 25 to 50 cents per game, and according to some kids, addicting. With the 1982-83 school season close at hand, that video fever has Baltimore City parents concerned. Many communities contend kids skip classes to play the space-age toys. Beachfield is one such community, and they want a law that will stop it.
Current law, it says 16. No one under 16 is supposed to be playing. However, from the complaints we received, we find that they're down in the 9, 10, 11-year-old class they're playing, and the 2 complaints that we did receive was about the children's lunch money being played in video games.
Are Beachfield kids really skipping classes to battle electronic foes? Well, we went to the source to find out.
But there's people doing it every day is school day, every day. They're going up there, they're getting suspended just to come down here sometimes, and then they just go here and they go in there and they play the machines.
It must be, because they don't just come up here during lunch hour. You see them here all hours of the day.
And you think they're skipping classes to come out and play?
Yeah, I know they are.
It's no secret then, huh?
No.
Well, what, they just sneak by the teachers?
They don't even go to school, they just come down here and hook.
It is a cacophony of sounds from a symphony of electronics. If you're filling your time capsules these days, Don't forget a bit of Frogger, or Mousetrap, or Grand Champion, or Pac-Man, or Ms. Pac-Man. They are video games. They are as American, well, as international as war. We've got that too. In 1981, Americans popped in between $5 and $9 billion worth of quarters and tokens into the slots of arcade video games. Pac-Man alone digested $200 million for its manufacturer, Bally Corporation's Midway. No human could begin to compute how many Pac-Man dots were gobbled up, how many little children and adults spent their free time at the joystick of a video game control. One study estimates that we spent 75,000 man-years doing this. Don't despair those numbers. Before video games, there were other attractions. Here's a sound to remember: the quiet ride of the silver ball, the ding of the bells as it hit the bumpers. There's a lot of us who remember pinball machines like these and pool tables like these, people my age and a little bit older. I spent a lot of time during the summer playing a pinball machine like this. And I remember the one thing about pinball machines is the score. You could always get it up to about 99,999 before it rotated back to zero. Now with electronic games, you can go to 1 million or 2 million or 9,999,999. And getting there is half the fun and part of the frustration. Part of the fascination is the way the games are designed. Take 13-year-old Paul Glatzer playing Zaxxon. The game is three-dimensional. The screen is full of tricks to avoid. Your airplane moves faster than the speed of sound. Your tongue hungers for a kill.
I like the details on it. There's good details on the games.
Part of it is the sound. These games would not be any fun at all if there were no sound. But there is, and that is why people like Bert Price can stand at a machine for 2.5 hours, on 1 quarter, mind you, and play Galaga.
I could have done that for longer, just I lost all my ships.
While we attack dots or spaceships, the machines attack our senses. Gratification is what we seek. I'm Josh Lippman.
It happened here at the Elmora Delicatessen at Elmora and Highland Avenues. Bel Air Road is that way, and Catholic High School is just 1 block down the street. At 1:30, the gunman entered the store.
He robbed me, he put a gun on me, and he took the money, and he pointed a gun at me the whole time when he went to the door. And that's the only time I was kind of scared, that he might just shoot me and just leave, you know, that's the only part, because he walked out the door with a gun pointed at me.
The gunman rushed out the door and ran down Highview Avenue, and just as he reached that tree down there, the store owner, Virasak Yangsumcheep, who had grabbed his own gun, came out and fired 2 shots at him, dropping him with a bullet in the leg.
And I told him to stop, he wouldn't stop. And he turned around, you know, acted like he was going to shoot me, so I fired 2 shots, and 1 hit me on the legs, you know. I just wanted to stop him first.
And that stopped him?
Yeah, well, he stopped, you know, and he didn't try nothing else, so I just walked toward him and, you know, put a gun right to his head and tell him to give me his gun, you know. And he gave me the gun, and I dragged him up.
Mr. Yangsumcheep, a Taiwanese whose customers all call him Paul, said he's been robbed 3 times since opening his store 7 years ago. He hopes the news about the shooting will keep the wolves away from his door for a while. I'm Jack Bowden, News Scene 2.
Mfume would allow the squeegee kids to keep working, but only after they take a class in safety and courtesy. They would then have to register with the police department and wear a special ID badge or a T-shirt. They could only operate certain times of day and certain months of the year, and they'd be banned entirely from the city's busiest intersections. At a news conference, Mfume said he not only wants to help the kids, but to end the racial divisiveness over the issue.
The time is upon us to bury old hatchets and not to open new wounds.
But Councilman Tony Ambridge says Mfume's proposals won't solve his main concern, which is safety.
If the city were to license children to work in a street, and one of those children were injured or, God forbid, killed, then the city would be party to that.
Well, how long are they gonna let us do it? It's all right.
You mind those things, going to class on safety and courtesy, that kind of thing?
I don't mind, as long as they're gonna let us make a little bit of money.
It was Mfume who said that Monday's council vote to ban squeegee kids had racist overtones. Today, he said, since that vote, he's received 17 or 18 pieces of hate mail, mail aimed at him and blacks in general. Kevin Brown, News Scene 2, City Hall.
For many Baltimoreans, the precious black gold on this fuel oil truck is the main ingredient to guarantee a warm night when outside temperatures are well below freezing. However, today, this is a rare sight because most fuel oil companies and distributors are closed on Sunday. However, dealer Johnny Bryce is one of the few who works on late Saturday and all-day Sunday. He says it's because someone has to serve those who are otherwise unable to get fuel.
It was tough last night. We worked until 3 this morning.
You started back again today at noon.
Right. And we'll be finished about 7 this evening. We'll be out of oil.
So after 7 o'clock tonight, if somebody runs out of oil in sub-freezing temperatures...
I couldn't help him because I can't get oil.
Bryce has 5 trucks on the street, and he says when his allotment of 7,800 gallons are depleted, well, he's out of business until Monday morning. Most of the people serviced by his small fleet of oil trucks were in need of oil. And at this home, the family ran out of oil in the middle of the night and used an oven for heat until the oil arrived. This woman compared the temperature in her home to the outside.
Just like it was outside. Colder in here than it was outside.
How did you cope?
The only thing I could do is get underneath the blankets and go to sleep.
And the oven was your only source of heat?
And that wasn't doing too much because it was too cold in here. It's like the cold was overpowering the heat.
As we said, Johnny Bryce is one of the few who will deliver oil when most other companies are closed. He plans to get together with other small oil companies to make distributors stay open on weekends, especially, he said, on Sunday. I'm Mark Norman for News Scene.